Hey, what's up, fam? How you doing? I hope you're doing fine. Wherever you are today, this is a presenter, Jintok Stories, and we are here to talk about this topic that I believe it's important. Now, this video is so revealing in the sense that it talks about what some white people think about black people behind closed doors. And it's not just behind closed doors. This video reveals how some white kids are indoctrinated to some stereotypes amongst towards black people. And remember who are giving these reports. The people who are giving these reports play a major role in making us understanding the role of intersectionality. I'm talking about a group of kids that are either white or black. I'm talking about white passing kids. I'm talking about mixed kids, right? Because when they go have discussion with these people, they get to hear and understand the secrets. They understand deep things that white people talk behind closed doors about black people. And this is so revealing how parents play a major role in perpetuating stereotypes in regards to a given race. And the race in question is the black race, right? Because we have been at a talking point where people could say anything about black people and it's okay. Right, there are a couple of censorship if you try to talk about other races, but for black people, it's usually okay. This video is so important because it reveals, and it's not about what the kids say, it's about the social conditioning of the kid, what they heard from their parents, and how they are coming to say it publicly. Do you know why this is important? This is important because it is unfiltered, because they believe that black people are not hearing. So I want us to watch this video. It really reveals a lot of things. It really exposes a lot of things about what we need to know. I want us to watch this video where these kids are reporting what really white people think about black people. And I'll be back. We'll have this discussion with you. Until then, let's dive right into the video.
So many stories of growing up being biracial and white people just saying anything they wanted to say in front of me.
One thing that I've noticed about being mixed, I'm half black, half white, but I think people who have any part black would probably be able to relate to this. And I know talking about being mixed on this app is not for the weak, but here I go. Also prefacing that I grew up in a predominantly white suburb. I go to a PWI, so I've been surrounded by a lot of white people throughout my life. But for some reason, racist people genuinely think they can confide in me. The amount of people who say things to me or who act a certain way or who are friends with me but not friends with any other black people or don't say anything to any other black people because they think that because I'm half black or I don't really look black, it's okay to say, it's okay to hang out with me, like I don't really count as black. Someone has actually told me that, well, she's not even that black to get mad about that. And it's always the people who are subtly racist and you don't know, and then finally their true colors come out. And I'm like, how have I been friends with you this whole time? And it's because they just don't think of you as black. So they don't have an issue with it. And then until they say something and get confronted about it, and then it's kind of like and it's always just them apologizing or them being sorry that I had my feelings hurt and the intention wasn't for me to be upset or the intention wasn't for me to be hurt. But I'm like, you should be apologizing for being racist, not hurting my feelings. The issue is you being racist, not how I feel about what you said. I don't know if any other mixed people can relate to this, but I just feel like the racist people think they can confide in me, and it's disgusting. But honestly, I can catch them all. So if you wanted to put your friend up to the test or you wanted to see if someone was racist, send them my way because eventually it's going to come out. And
I'll be honest, I didn't really realize how racist some people are until I'm in an all-white space and people don't realize that I'm mixed.
I hear racist stuff all the time. It's time to expose. One time I was with this group of white people, and the girls were talking about this girl who had jungle fever. And this white girl goes, "Isn't it a shame to see our race mixing with another? What's going to happen to our white purity?"
About the time that a hate group was started at my high school called the NHRA. I'll let you guys try and guess what that stood for. And my friends were curious as to why I was completely pissed off because I'm not full black.
I am Mexican, full-blooded. And one time I was dating this guy and his grandpa just moved to a different house. And he said, "Yeah, you grew up over here." And I'm like, "Oh, did you?" He's like, "Yeah, it's really different now." I'm like, "How so?" He's like, "Well, A lot of Mexicans and blacks live over here now.
I grew up in an extremely racist part of Louisiana. For instance, when I was in beauty school, going to one of my friend's house, and her mom asking me, like, does it gross you out to touch N-word's hair?
I was at a pool party one time and this guy asked me, "What are you?" And I was like, "Well, I'm mixed." And he asked me with what? And I was like, "Black and white." And he was like, "So you're a half N-word." Then he like turned to his wife and his whole family and was like, "Guys, guess what? Cole's a half N-word." And like everybody's laughing.
There was another time where I was at a party and the only other black person there left early. Right after he left, one of the white dudes there proceeded to say the N-word. Not even in a song or anything, just said it out loud. When I confronted him about it, he said, "What? He's not here anymore." Little did he know that I'm a double agent.
Right now I look mixed as because my hair is done, but normally pretty white passing. If you worked in film before, you know like 11 hours is a normal day. A white passing Hispanic person had overheard one of the main actresses' distress cries to the director. Let's call the actress Biffany Babish. Miss Babish says, "My feet hurt, it's time to wrap." One more take. Miss Babish says, "Okay, well then you gonna pay for my medical bills." And this white Hispanic had the audacity to say, "Ooh, I'm so glad we have Miss Babish to go ghetto on them." I said, "Ghetto?" She said, "Yeah, black."
Or talking about going to clean my car and another friend's mom saying, "Oh, you gotta go get the N-words to clean it." N-words are so good at cleaning cars. They know how to clean cars so good. N-words, they're so good at cleaning.
He's like, "You don't want to live in a neighborhood that has a lot of Mexicans and blacks." And I said, "You don't? Because why would you want to live in a neighborhood that has really good food and really awesome people?" My boyfriend at the time didn't say anything. Thanks, Kyle.
There was another time where we were talking about an opposing basketball team. We were talking about why the team was so good, and somebody goes, "They're only good because they let all the charity cases on the team." There were no white people on this team. I'm sure I'm not the only white passing person with you.
Hi, my name is Sophia, and today I'm going to be talking about my race and my ethnicity and how they affect me on a daily basis. So, before I begin, I want to discuss the difference between race and ethnicity, in my opinion, and how I think of it in regards to myself. So, the way I always thought of it was that race was what people saw on you, so the color of your skin, sometimes the texture of your hair, or like facial features, and ethnicity is what made you who you are, like what your parents were, like where you come from, things like that. So for me, my ethnicity is white. I have very European features. I have very light skin and kind of light eyes and light hair. But my ethnicity is biracial, which seems funny because you use a term with the word race in it to describe an ethnicity, but I'll get into that more in a little bit. So I am multi-ethnic, biracial. My mom is black and my dad is white. And the reason I say biracial when describing my race is because my mom is black and American and came to America through slavery many, many years ago. We don't really know where our family is from on her end. So I can't say I'm white and from Niger, or I can't say I'm white and Caribbean, or white and Brazilian, or white and African even, because we just don't know, and there aren't that many records documenting where we came from. So for me, the way I describe myself is biracial, white, and black. Now, for some, it may seem kind of odd. Maybe you know other white and black kids who don't look like me and have more like mixed looking features. I don't know why I'm as light as I am. It just kind of happened. But nonetheless, I am still a person of color. Now that can get confusing because when a lot of people think person of color, they think skin color. And that's, the way I see it, that's just not correct. Because being a person of color, in my mind, means you are not white. And I am not fully white, half white. So the way I go about explaining this for the first time to people is I say I'm a white passing black person, or a white passing mixed person, or a white passing biracial person, or half black, half white, but white passing. Essentially the big word is white passing, which means I experience white privilege. I go about my life with people assuming that I'm white, and I get privilege that I experience the privileges that come with being white. For example, I am more likely to get a job if I say I'm white and not white and black. I'm less likely to be harassed because of my race, and I'm less likely to be treated differently because of my race with people who don't know me. So I kind of wear what my mom calls the complexion for the protection, which is interesting to me because I don't look like my siblings. My sister's very dark, and my brother looks mixed, but kind of still looks less passing than I do. So I go about my life with this disconnect from my ethnicity and my racial makeup because I don't look like what I am, and a huge part of being black is being connected, and a huge part of being part of any race is being connected with the people of your race. And that can be difficult because a lot of people don't understand why it matters to me that I am half black and half white when I do receive white privilege. And a lot of people don't understand why they should care and consider me a person of color when I look the way I do. And to that I say, I am what I am. I know what I am. And it is not up to somebody else to tell me what I can and cannot be racially or ethnically. But it's still something that stirs a lot of conflict in particularly classroom environments. I go to a predominantly white school, and so looking the way I do, I look like I make up that predominantly white school, and I do. But when it comes time to discuss things such as racism and slavery in history class or black poetry in English class, I consider myself to be more on the black side, which can be a cause for conflict because a lot of people, and I don't want to say strictly white people because in my experience it has not always been strictly white people, but a lot of people have been very uncomfortable with me considering myself or calling myself black when I am just as black as any other half black, half white kid that isn't as light as me. And that is hard because I have to continue to explain myself and explain my ethnic and racial existence to people wherever I go. And there are times when I wish I didn't have to do that. But with that and with that struggle, I do accept the fact that I receive white privilege, and that in our society is a very, very big and important thing. So, to wrap things up, I am not white. I appear white. I am white and black, making me a person of color, technically a black person, but also still white passing. So if you didn't get anything else from this video, the 3 major key points are: not all light-skinned people are just white. You can be half black and look completely white. And people who look white but aren't completely white can in fact be people.
Hey, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. Now I'm here to discuss with you something that usually happens with private communication, especially in group communication, right? Because you find that there is no unfiltered, and what they say is what they really think is most of their thoughts and what they think to be true. So in that sense, I'm also here to address a couple of all these things that are really happening in the society. Now, the key concepts that we could look on what all these kids are trying to say, because they say that, believing that the people that they were saying to them, they were white people. Maybe they didn't want to share with black people because they know that it will hurt the feelings of black people. Well, that's fair enough, because at some point we usually all talk about some people in our lives, right? But my point is this. My problem is the biases that these people say behind closed doors, right? Now, the subconscious belief about certain racial groups influence attitudes and action, often manifesting in private conversation. These perpetuate stereotypes even among those who claim to support racial equality, right? Now, we need to understand the concept of white privilege. And this is a talk that I understand, and I know that most white people are not comfortable with this because they usually ask you, why is the privilege? We're not seeing the privilege. And you need to know that the privilege is usually embedded in the system. right? White passing individuals temporarily experience white privilege, benefiting from the lack of racial profiling or discrimination in spaces dominated by whiteness. However, the exposure to unfiltered commentary often reveals how this privilege operates as a system of exclusion for visibility for visibly black individuals. Another thing that I like to talk about is microaggression. White blatant racism may be exposed during these in-group talks. Subtler forms of prejudice also surface at the same time. Now, insults or dismissive comments based on racial assumption often passes off as jokes or casual observation. Remember that this commentary may be directed to black individuals or about societal perceptions of blackness, revealing underlying anti-black sentiment. Because somebody might be lying that they're your friend, but what they are saying behind you will really shock you. And I think what we watched through the videos were a perfect example of what really a person thinks about you, of what really a person feels about you, because they believe that it's a safe space. It was unfiltered because nobody is gonna come and see what they are trying to say, or nobody's gonna come and try understand what they are saying, because they are confident enough that they have shared history, they have shared opportunity. So when they have these talks about black people, they believe that they're in a good position of talking about this, and not in a good position when talking about this while when black people are around, right? I'd like to talk about psychological dynamic at play. First is cognitive dissonance that I like to talk about. Now, many individuals who engage in racist conversation hold contradictory beliefs about being a non-racist, publicly and privately harboring racial biases. Isn't it true? It's true. Because publicly, they may say that, I like black people, we like black people, I stand with black people, I stand with my black folks. But when it remains, it's in the dark, when nobody's seeing them, if you get to hear or if you get to see how they feel or what they say about, what they say about black people will leave you amazed. And I think this video is a perfect example of what I'm trying to talk about, or what I'm trying to address. Another thing is white passing individuals observe these might experience dissonance between their assumption role with the in-group and the identity as members of allies or allies to the black communities. True. I'd like to talk about intersectional identity conflicts. White passing teens may feel conflicted about their racial identity when exposed to these conversations. On one hand, they benefit from perceived as white. On the other, they may feel obligated to address anti-blackness because of their heritage or personal values. And I think that's what is pushing all these teenagers that we're seeing talking about all these. Another thing is social conditioning. Some white people may be conditioned from a young age to exhibit racist behavior in private due to familial or societal influences, which become more normalized within certain circles. Another thing, you need to know that the revealing truth that these kids come with is that it has a consequence, right? And the consequence is, one, accountability. Exposing these conversations brings private biases into public consciousness, holding individuals accountable for perpetuating racism. Another thing is erosion of trust. For white passing teens, learning what is said in private by white peers, colleagues, or mentors can erode trust and reinforce feelings of otherness. Education. These exposures create opportunities for uncomfortable but necessary dialogue around racism, privilege, and responsibilities of white allies. Another role I'd like to address is the role of intersectionality. The phenomena underscores how intersectionality, the overlapping and intersecting aspects of identity, plays a role in racial discourse. White passing individuals exist at intersection of whiteness and blackness or other racialized identities, giving them a unique vantage point to observe, critique racism from both within, outside, and these groups. Right. So we need to address these problems because they happen to education, acknowledging privilege, and call for accountability, amongst other things. So tell me what you think about this video. I really want to know what you think about this. This is a presenter Jintuk Stories, and I'm hoping to see you in my next video. But until then, peace, love, and harmony. Salute.